welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with life coach Linda Armstrong. Today is Friday, October the 25th, 2019. It is 4 p.m. New York time. That's 1 p.m. Los Angeles, 9 p.m. in London, 5 a.m. in Tokyo, and 6 a.m. in Sydney, Australia. Wherever you are in the world, thanks for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy that we do 5 days a week. And as usual, Linda, I always love starting the week and doing the episodes all week long, and then I love it when the weekend comes, because when I'm starting it, that means I got 5 days of fun, and then when I got the weekend, it's 2 days off, and it's just like it goes back and forth. It's kind of like, it's balance is what it is. It's achieving balance, you know? So Friday is when I guess I don't know what to call that. It's like when the pendulum starts to swing the other way into the other side of the balance. What do you call that? I don't know. Is there a name for that?
I don't know.
Guess not. So how you doing? How are things in New York?
Doing good. Things are good. It was nice today. You know that.
Oh yeah.
Pretty nice. I'm kind of happy that things are kind of holding up with pretty good climate here. You know, I was out
Hmm.
actually with just a jean jacket today and sometimes without it. So I'm pretty thrilled about that.
I actually took a walk with starting off with a long sleeve shirt and got it down to a t-shirt like this. It was quite comfortable out there, so that was nice.
Right. That's
Really
what I mean.
nice.
Like, went out prepared and I'm like, oh, I don't even need this jacket.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff. So I can't say I really have a definite topic in mind, but I figure we can just kind of do what we normally do on a Friday when we don't have a particular topic and when we don't have a killer guest joining us. Because, by the way, I got to compliment you. I don't know if I've told you on the air, but you brought in some really fabulous guests in the last couple of months,
Uh,
and I think they've actually helped in
okay.
terms of the listenership. I mean, overall, we've been doing a lot of good stuff to help build listenership just through the content that we're creating. But listenership is up significantly since summer. We are now up around, let's see, what would the math be? That's about 150% of what it was in the summer.
Wow.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what? I'll think about a few more people to bring on. I kind of got busy and didn't think about it for a bit,
sure.
so I'll hook up with somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. Or bring some of them back because I mean they were all really, really good guests. So, yeah. But anybody you can think of, we'll be glad to bring them in and
Well, in fact,
have some fun.
somebody just came to mind. That might be a good thing. I'll have to check with him.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, we stimulated an idea. I love that. Yeah, good stuff. So, I, you know, it's a funny thing. I usually come up with topics pretty easily when there's like little things going on in life, or sometimes a big thing going on in life. Right now, everything's going well. I don't have any topics to draw from, other than maybe focusing on what happens when things go well. You know, how do you keep the momentum going?
Well, you know
But
what?
beyond that,
I just did like just before coming on, I did two videos. I shot my November energy update,
hmm.
and also just another random update. I picked a card, and the card that came out was seek an expert.
Ooh,
Like, wow, that's interesting.
yeah,
That's like a promo for me.
right, right, yeah,
Didn't mean it to be that way, but the card, it was really important because it does. I mean, it can be an expert, someone who really knows their stuff that can help you uncover. Like, so what I do is I help people to uncover, really to dig down to the root of some things that are happening in your subconscious mind that prevent the things you want to manifest from showing up. Like, you might be
mm,
doing all the things you've heard about doing about manifesting, but there could be some underlying program that is just preventing it and standing in
sure.
the way. So, so what I do is uncover that. So, and yeah, so anyway, that card came up, and I talked about that for a bit on this video. So, I mean, we could maybe talk about that a little bit because it's really important. Like, a lot of people don't realize or don't allow themselves, number one, to share that they even have some kind of problem going on.
Mm,
So they'd rather think they could fix it themselves instead of talking to someone else about it. And
right,
sometimes all you need to do is maybe you don't need to go to an energy healer, which would probably help better, but just talk to anybody because even just bringing it out in the open, number one, blows some of that energy out.
hmm,
And then having someone else to hear you and maybe see it from another perspective because you're in it, you can only see it from not a good perspective because you're in it, right?
right.
Notice how I get small when I talk
Yes,
about,
right.
and you want to be open and like receptive to all the good that wants to come.
Yeah.
So sometimes just talking to anybody about it, um,
Hmm.
calling into the show and talking about it, would be a way of releasing some of that energy, of getting another perspective on things. Because I know even for myself, I have my own coach because I can't always see my own stuff. And that's
Sure.
what the card was about. It's
Hmm.
hard to see beyond your own mind what is going on within you.
Hmm.
Um,
I
so
think I think I'd add to that too. It's good to talk to somebody who really knows their stuff. I mean, that's the point of the card, to talk to
well,
an
this is
expert.
kind of the card, but the card did also say you could talk to anybody because just talking to someone is and asking for some help or some guidance or some clarity on what you're not seeing in some way is helpful. And another point I want to make is that sometimes people don't want to do that. They don't want to burden the other person
Mm.
or whatever their point of view might be on that. But really, what's important is that when you allow someone else, you ask for help from someone else, and they get the opportunity to uplift you in some way, it uplifts them too.
Right. Hmm.
Like everyone I work with, I'm always uplifted. I always feel like the healing's not only for them, it's also coming through for me because like attracts like. Um,
Hmm.
and everything's a reflection of what's going on within you. So when someone or something or some experience comes across your path, and we've about this before in other shows, we're living in matrix.
Yep.
The outer
Hmm.
reflects the inner. It's all programmed.
Yep.
And so if something shows up, and we talked about that with the whole Ho'oponopono show, it's somewhere within you. Now you might not remember, maybe it was 20 lifetimes ago,
Hmm.
but there's something about that that's within you. So as you're asking for someone's help and they're having the opportunity to uplift you in some way, it's also healing them and uplifting them, even if they don't have that same problem going on. But there could be something that directly links to it, or you probably wouldn't have talked to that person in the first place. You might have talked to a different person, right?
Probably true. I mean, the reason I mentioned talking to somebody who knows something about their stuff is I see people posting online on Facebook and getting replies that are sometimes good replies and sometimes not such good replies. Replies
Right.
that kind of leading them in the wrong direction, and then they end up being even more confused than they were when they started.
So that I mean that's why going to an expert is good because I'm leaving my when I'm working with someone, I leave my ego on the doorstep. It's not
Hmm.
allowed in the room. I'm
Right.
just connecting with spirit, and whatever's going to come through is going to be of that high energy because that's how I present all the work that I do because that's how I'm trained.
Hmm.
So, and being that I can be in that higher vibe, I can receive the guidance as to what underlying thing or some experience pops in my head, and I ask, is this what true for you? And they're like, oh my god, I was 6 years old and blah blah blah, right? So that would be an expert being able to tap into a more root cause of the problem so that we can clear the energy.
Mm.
So any energy clearer, hopefully someone who's really truly authentic and using their gifts for the highest good, they're gonna help you. I mean, they're gonna
Hmm.
get to it quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And in fact, if you talk about somebody who is um, able to tap into their own connection, so to speak. Really, that's what we're all trying to learn to do. So even if you're looking for help, you're really also trying to learn to connect to your own energy. You're trying to connect to your own inner being. And even if you do end up talking to somebody who is kind of leading you down the wrong path, that's a message actually. It's a message saying you're going the wrong direction. Turn and go the other direction. So even that can be helpful. It's often more quick. You get to the point better if you're working with somebody who
Right.
is better
So
better
get
skilled at.
this. Get this.
Okay.
I don't know if the camera was on me because I wasn't speaking. You know how it goes back and forth?
Right. Right.
If
Yeah.
anybody heard me shuffling and saw me pull this card.
Yeah.
The card says, you saw me, but I don't know if anybody else did. Time lapses. Okay?
Ah.
This is the first card in the November energy reading that I just did.
Oh, no kidding.
Now, while you were talking, I was shuffling the deck, split the deck, pick the card, boom. And really, it's appropriate because I was just about to add to the conversation we were having how in your sleep time, you're leaving your body, you're traveling out into other dimensions, other
Mm-hmm.
timelines.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe on the show, I'm sure I've talked about it before, like I like to put myself in night school.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned that
Yeah.
numerous times.
So, my spirit's going out traveling. So I'm like, okay, let's do some work out there and show me blah, 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 or teach me this. Or, I like to just leave it up a lot of times to spirit, show me what's best for me on my next on my path and something like that. And I also like to say, well, I'm out there traveling. I ask for those spiritual healers to, heal my body while I'm out there traveling. Um, so that's funny. I
Yeah.
love it worked out.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
it's par for the course around here because anytime you pull cards out, they're always dead on to what we're talking about. So I can't say I'm surprised anymore, but it's intriguing every time. That's for sure.
It'll be really super cool if the other two cards, because I have two more decks here. If I pull a card that I pulled for that energy reading, we'll see. But
Wow.
that was
Well, okay.
that,
In anticipation of that, what do you think about that energy reading might be the reason that you got this connection going on here?
well, really the gist of that whole energy reading for November is to pretty much be in that open, let yourself go and be in that open and receptive state. So like when you're traveling out in night school, you're in an open, when you're sleeping, you're in an open and receptive state. So information can come in while you're traveling and experiencing whatever. Most of the time we don't remember it. I
Hmm.
know I don't too much because I don't remember my dreams that much. Some people do. Um, so it was all about being open and receptive to what wants to come in. And it ended up with the card about having fun, because that's the best way to be in that open receptive state, right? Being more
No
like that
doubt.
childlike self. We talk about that a lot. Like
Yeah.
really back to that super creator, the inner
Hmm.
child.
Yeah. No, that's definitely the best place to be in. Reception too. That is a key point because, and it's a key point that we've talked about actually on other episodes this week. That you have to be able to receive whatever it is that you're trying to receive, whatever it is.
Right.
Because if you aren't even trying to receive it, well, first of all, that means you got a huge amount of resistance going on. So whatever you're trying to manifest isn't going to come out the way you had in mind. And secondly, something's going to come out, just not what you had in mind. Maybe the opposite of what you had in mind. But secondly, if you're not able to receive, if you're not even trying to receive, even if for a moment you manage to let something through, it'll distort. It'll
Yeah.
turn into something. It may be something that's like a tease of what it is that you're trying to attract. And that's almost worse because then it feels like, well, just the universe is messing with me now. But it's not the universe at all. It's yourself. It's your own reception. So that ability to receive is really important.
Yeah, because that what that brought up immediately when you started saying that was a lot of times there are people like maybe even friends of yours, right? And they're asking for advice, and you're giving some advice, and you're telling them different things, and giving them tips and things they can do to help themselves.
Hmm.
And then like the next week it's the same question
Yeah.
again. It's like over and over. How many different ways can I tell you how to do this?
Mm.
And it's just words coming out until they're ready to receive it,
Hmm.
right? Because
Hmm.
it's just a lot of times a lot of times people are still in their own head, and even though you're speaking to them,
Oh yeah.
they're not really getting it because they're into what their own thoughts and what they're going to say next to kind of prove that life sucks.
Yeah. Right. Let's find a way to show that it actually does.
Yeah, because you're just not receptive to this
Right.
change. You're still too married to the story,
Mm.
what it is, right?
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But eventually, hopefully, their soul starts to take over from that ego mind and say, "Wait, listen, put the brakes on that. You keep telling the same story. It's not changing. Let's try another point of view. let's let's open
Well,
up and just do something just for the heck of it. Try it for a day or for a
yeah.
week. You know?
I mean, that's kind of what the Abraham message is. Abraham Hicks is very emphatic that contrast, dealing with the stuff that we don't like so much is really very important because it makes it so much easier to clarify what we do want. And it's not the easiest concept to understand the first time you hear that, but when you kind of sit with it for a while, you realize, yeah, how would I know what it is that I want if I don't know what it is that I don't want? I have to have that contrast to say, yes, I like that, I don't like that.
For
So,
people who know that, like you'll mention a lot of times what you see happening on some of the law of attraction sites.
mhm.
They're just still married to their own story. So they're
Oh yeah.
even having heard all those words, they're still not taking it in and allowing it to make a difference within their life. Unfortunately,
Hmm.
eventually they will. I assume.
Oh, I think so. That's the other Abraham message I really like so much. You can't get it wrong, you'll never get it done.
Right.
So even when it seems like you're getting it wrong, you're still not getting it wrong, which is, I find that to be reassuring. It means that no matter how on certain occasions, feel like I may be screwing up, on other occasions, I realize, no, I wasn't really screwing up. I was just taking a long way around, is all. Take the pressure off.
All right. So let's get another card here.
Okay.
See.
Which deck are you drawing from today?
This one is the answer is simple.
The answer is simple. Okay.
Sonia Choquette.
Yep.
The deck before was Energy Oracle.
Ah, Debbie Anderson. Okay.
So okay. So one more shuffle. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what we get. We're going to have listen to the music.
Ooh,
That's interesting.
yeah.
Number
Well, it's one of
nine.
my favorite things to do. I like to listen to music whenever I'm doing something that's not requiring my direct attention, and I was doing it on my walk today.
I lost my glasses. Oh, here they are. My cat probably knocked them off with me. Okay, so
So listen to the music.
number 19. All right, take a look. The answer is simple. That's the whole deck, right? The answer is
There it
simple.
is, right?
Listen to the music. The bridge to heaven is music, and right now your spirit is calling you to enjoy its benefits.
Mm.
Don't allow your ego to diminish its importance to your spirit or cut you off from its fuel. Music not only regenerates your body, it also raises your vibration and fills your heart with joy and enthusiasm.
Mm.
That's cool because that's a way to actually lift yourself up out of something by
Oh,
allowing
yeah.
yourself to feel the vibration and go with the music. So it says, turn on the music to gain access to your higher self and the divine plane of inspiration now. It will calm your mind so that inner guidance from spirit can be felt. So here, this is talking to what we were just saying, those people who aren't really listening or taking in what they may have been taught already, right?
Hmm.
Or more than that. So choose the most uplifting melodies possible and watch how life will begin to dance to their rhythms right over your fears. Engage right over your fears. Okay, so it's just going to go, it's just like fears down there.
Hmm.
We're just going to raise above that.
Yeah.
Um, engage music as the best energetic way to clear all negativity and eliminate any obstacles you face right now. Its liberating vibration will free you from old patterns that no longer serve you and help channel direction from the angelic plane to your conscious mind. Music will calm the moment. As you listen to it, the heavenly forces will work on your behalf to bring about joyful resolution and a peaceful outcome.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. And in fact, that's my experience with music. Music is probably, I think it's my favorite. It's pretty close to favorite, certainly in the top three thing to do to raise vibration, to get it into a better feeling place. Because just like that card says, it doesn't just raise you up a little bit, it raises you up a lot. I get the most movement just by hearing music. And now here's the interesting thing. I'm curious to know what your comment is on this, because this kind of ties into what you were talking about earlier about resistance, being able to hear what the other person is saying. Well, it's also about being able to hear what the music is telling you. Maybe the lyrics too, but specifically what the music itself is telling you. And you can't do that if you aren't listening to the music. Like, I'll walk along, I'll do my nature walk, I'll have my headphones on. I got a little headset that goes with my phone. And it's possible for me to be just walking along, the music's playing, and I'm not paying any attention to the music. And that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But when I pay attention to the music and hear the melody and hear how the music is playing out, that gets me into a higher vibration a lot faster than just having it play as background.
Yeah.
So I think that talks directly to what you talked about before about listening, about paying attention to what's coming in so that you can get the help you need to release that resistance that's building up.
Yeah. But I would also add, you don't even have to know. You can just feel.
Well, yes.
I have some old songs from back in my uh, disco days, dancing
Hmm.
days,
Hmm.
and like one song that will get me in a high vibe instantly is Atomic Dog.
Okay.
What? It's
I
like
know this. I
bow
know
wow,
the song. Yeah.
yippee, bow wow, yippee, oh, yippee, oh, yippee, oh, the dog. Oh, it's so cool. I tell you, I can just listen to that. I don't even know what the rest of the words are for the whole entire song. I just hear that music and it makes me want to dance.
It
So that's
doesn't even
cool.
matter. What matters is
I
that
love that.
it has that right appeal for you. It has that right vibrational sense for you. And that's all that really counts.
Plus, it also brings you back when you listen, like when we listen to things that we used to enjoy when we were younger, when we go out and clubs and dancing and stuff like that. Like Sugar Hill Gang. I'll hear Sugar Hill Gang and I'll be like, I'm out there, right? Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, for my
that
wife,
was
it's almost anything from the 80s because she just likes the whole 80s um, musical feel, which high energy and relatively upbeat compared to some of the other eras, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but of course, those songs that have where you can actually capture the true meaning or the essence that is with the music.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, that's just fun music. It gets me going, it gets me out there, right?
Sure.
Yeah, that's awesome too.
It is. It truly is. Yeah. Well, I mean, the card talked about choosing. I don't remember how it said it. Positive music or uplifting music. It emphasized, listening to stuff that feels better.
Mhm.
And literally, that's one of my favorite things to listen to when I do my walks. I have a special list. I call it my positive music list, and it's all my favorite upbeat, good feeling stuff. And you play about 5 or 6 of those in a row, and if you aren't smiling, there's something, you're probably close to dead because they just, if they're your favorite songs, they just pick you up. They just do.
And for you, is it besides the music? Is it do the words really matter?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no, because it's often hard to find songs where you get a perfect match, where the lyric actually goes with the high vibrational piece, or the high vibrational lyric has a high vibrational music with it. It doesn't always play out that way. So, there are some songs that I listen to, I just like the music, and so I'll listen to the music and I'll just kind of skip the words in my mind, or vice versa. There's some I like the words better, and I'll just
Yeah.
kind of skip past the music a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of laughing at myself because I don't know that I ever really grasp any of the words too much, except for like the verse that they repeat over and over again.
Yeah, yeah, right.
My
Yeah.
son will say, "Well, you know what that song's about, right?" And I'm like, "No, I have no clue. I just like the beat." All right, Anyway,
One of the older bands, there are probably a lot of modern bands that younger listeners could point to that are very much the same way. But one of the older bands that fits that is Queen, because they literally use nonsense lyrics. A lot of the lyrics just made no sense at all, and they weren't intended to. They were
yeah,
intended to just get you into the mood of listening to the music and dancing to it and feeling good.
yeah.
What the words were just didn't even matter.
But not to say that they don't. For all those songwriters out there who do an awesome job telling stories
Oh,
through their music.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
There are some amazing songwriters. Some of the lyricists are just incredible.
Right. So somehow I picked Upside Down Victory.
Hmm. Upside down victory.
Upside down. So let's see. The upside down are not always, doesn't mean it's a negative.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's like really good message, but I don't know what this one's going to be. I don't remember this card.
Okay.
Okay, so let's read it. Let's see what we're in for.
Go for it.
So it says the victory card reverse signals a delay or reversal in a hoped for outcome, whether it's in personal change or external achievements. Success may have been eluding you for some time, but don't despair.
Mm.
You may need to restructure things, reevaluate, or release one specific outcome and set your sights on another.
Mm-hmm.
That speaks right to being too married to the agenda, right? And being in that
Absolutely.
ego mind.
Oh yeah.
So whatever's going on externally, remember that the equanimity of peaceful surrender can often be the biggest victory of all. Yeah, because when we do surrender, then we make space or opening for the inspiration to come through, right?
Mm-hmm.
For what's needed to come in.
Sure, because anything that we do that lowers our resistance levels to any degree is going to let more stuff in. That's going to be one big way to do it.
Yeah, surrender. I mean, that's a topic we can talk about over and over and over again. It's not easy. It's really easy. Really, literally, it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't always do it.
Or as it's often said, it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah, we have to make the decision and then just freaking do it because we have the ability.
That actually should probably be on a bumper sticker. Just do it. Well, I think it's a Nike campaign, but the fact is that phrase really says the main idea. If you've been thinking about, oh, I'm going to try to release some resistance, or I'm going to focus on a new mantra, or I'm going to stick to a 30-day plan, or whatever, just do it. Don't don't overthink it. Joel likes to tease me periodically about how, particularly in days gone by, I would overthink stuff like crazy. And then he'll follow up by complimenting me on how I've been changing that in the last couple of years or so. But it's true, if you just keep perseverating, oh, I got to think this through, and I got to work out all the details, and I got to imagine all the possible outcomes. The moment that you're saying any of those things to yourself is the moment you've gone too far. I learned that the hard way. But when you just let that go and just do it, it's funny. Up until the point where you start doing it, it's hard, and then you just start doing it, and from that point on, it's easy.
Yeah, it's like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of times like, I just don't feel like confronting that thing. But once you get started, like yard work. I remember doing that this summer. I had a lot of stuff to clear out. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it. But once you get started, you couldn't stop me because I was got really in that groove. And of course, it feels good because you're accomplishing something that you've been thinking or feeling is heavy. Like you didn't really want to do it. There's other things you'd rather do.
Yes.
But literally, once you get into it and start getting in the motion, putting energy into it, it can take on a life of its own.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And for the reason you just said, as you start putting that energy into it, it's building its own momentum. And it does it pretty quickly if you just throw yourself into it.
Yeah.
If you dip your toe in the water, that could be painful because you're just kind of dragging it along. But if you just dive in, yeah, it can go pretty quickly. It's amazing how quickly it can go.
I know with what I was doing, and like clearing wood and like heavy work, I didn't even stop to eat. I was just like so into it. Before I knew it, the day was over. I'm like, oh, okay, I can't wait to get out here tomorrow, Because actually, and I remember this, I was training for a world tournament, a karate tournament in England, and my best training was not like training on the mat, but in the house I was living in then, I had like 15 yards of topsoil delivered for the beds I was getting ready.
Right.
And I was just hauling dirt, and it felt so good. I mean, I think that besides it was kind of physical labor, but it assisted me to get out of my head and out of all that heavy, getting ready kind of energy. It was like a meditation, basically. That was really very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of activity is big. Louise doesn't do the gardening anymore. We have some really great gardeners who do the gardening for our gardening services company. But back in the day when she was still doing it, there's one story she likes to tell about how she needed to lay some mulch down for a particular customer. And I think she was supposed to get help from an employee, and the employee couldn't be there. And she's thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get this done today? Because we got to get it done today. We can't wait. The schedule's too full. And she finally conceived of a way to do it. She ended up like running, basically just dragging a truck with all the mulch near where all the mulch was going to go into the beds, and just it was kind of like lining up a pile of it, like a long pile along the beds. And then she got down on her hands and knees and like a dog's digging a hole, she would dig all the mulch into the bed behind her through her legs. And she got a job that would normally have taken her an hour. She got done in like 20 minutes because she was just doing all this, dog type paddle activity. It was pretty funny. And, so she found a new way to lay mulch down that was actually pretty quick.
It's also very grounding, doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that was, that comes to mind is there was one time where we had a crew that needed to, I think it was again, it was mulch or topsoil. I can't remember which, probably mulch. They had to put some mulch down, but it was in a garden space that was on a terraced hill. So you couldn't really wheelbarrow stuff. There was no way to get in with a truck. It was like, oh God, how are we going to get the mulch down there? And they thought about it for 5 minutes, and there was two of them, and between the two of them, they figured out the way to do it. They got a tarp, put all the mulch on the tarp, and dragged it down the hill. And as they were dragging it down, it was falling into the different places that needed to go. So a 3-hour job turned into 10 minutes. It was incredible.
Perfect. Yeah, and somehow they were open to that inspiration, right?
They were in a big way. Yeah. And inspiration. It shows. It's a good example, actually, now that you mention it, of when you're open to it, that inspiration can come in pretty quickly, because they didn't have to think about it long.
Yeah.
And if they had, they probably would have ruined it. But they just kind of went with that first idea. Like, let's give that a try. Okay, we're done. Yeah. Louise was shocked too, because she had come by. I think she had to deliver some supplies. She came by to try to help them out because she knew it was going to be a big job. And she got there and they said, "We're done." And she said, "What? How could you be done?"
That's kind of being in that childlike mind too, because you're not going to overthink it. It's like, oh, let's try this. Okay. And they do it, right?
Right. No hesitation, no overthinking, no overcomplicating. Yep. Yeah, just going with it. And probably because the solution felt good. No, if it felt good, just go with it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so I picked the card. I picked the card, the triangle. I think we've gotten this card before.
The triangle?
Yeah, I feel like we might have read this. Maybe it'll sound familiar.
I don't remember it, but you never know.
Let's go for it. Why
Okay,
not? It came up, so maybe it's something more that wants to be talked about today.
could be. Lots of kinds of triangles in life too, so it'll be interesting to see what kind this is.
Well, the triangle is the law of three: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. The trilogy of each one knowing what it needs to do, what is expected of it, and just doing it. It is that of the highest form of work. The closer you get to God or the universal force of vibration, the more is expected of you and you of others. A triangle has three sides of itself, just as you do, so recognize it. So a lot of people talk about that trinity as mind, body, spirit. Mind, body,
Hmm.
spirit, right? That's a trilogy.
Right?
Um, yeah, so how is this? Well, the highest form of work. The closer you get to God and universal force of vibration, the more is expected of you and you of others. The triangle has three sides of itself. So I guess it's maybe finding balance in encompassing those aspects of you, because we're not just the mind, we're not just the body,
Hmm.
we're not just the soul. There has to be a blending of those, and you find balance and harmony with all of it. And you can, and I would even say, if you're having, yeah, right. So if you're too stuck in one part of the triangle, like in the mind, you got to kind of go to that spirit
Hmm.
and break free of that, right?
Hmm. Sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Plus triangles. It's not just triangles, but threes. Lots of stuff comes in threes. There are a lot of threes in life.
yeah,
Um, and for some people, threes can feel like an imbalanced situation. I'm thinking of like a three-way love situation where you got you know competing interests for a love relationship going on, the classic novel type situation. But
mhm,
on the other hand, you've also got, like you said, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. You got a number of different threes that are considered to be energetically whole together. And so it occurs to me that when you're talking about a triangle, it can be talking about something that we might label as good. It can be also be talking about something that we label as bad. It can be something in between. There's really no good or bad to any of it ultimately. It's just what happens when you're dealing with three. And I think the idea of balance is important when you look at it that way, because now it's kind of like, okay, if I got a 3 point situation of some kind, I don't know what the situation is. If all three are working together in a way that creates a sense of balance, that's a powerful combination. If they're working in such a way that they're fighting each other, that's also powerful, just kind of in the wrong direction.
yeah. But also, if you look at the triangle, that base, the triangle is a very sound structure.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know I have pyramids, made
Hmm.
out of copper, like to meditate under, because the triangle really does focus that energy.
Hmm.
And so you can use triangles for clearing objects, for
Hmm.
re-energizing your food, because it just has that power to bring in that energy, and that's one aspect of it, right? And I know for me, I three things come to things. Three's very important to me in some way, and I don't even know why.
Really?
But I know that when I call in spirit, it's always like love, love, love. I couldn't just do one or two. I have to do three. When I'm doing certain things where I'm doing some kind of clearing, I seem to feel drawn to doing it in threes in some way.
Hmm.
So that's interesting. And then another way that people look at the Trinity is how would you say it? The superconscious, the subconscious. This is like Ho'oponopono again. The subconscious, the conscious, and the superconscious,
Hmm.
right? Which
Hmm.
is the child, the mother, and the father. So
Right.
I mean, there's threes in so many different things.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, for me, I feel like somehow it brings balance in some way, and I like the whole thing with the pyramid and having that grounded, stable, um, because it's not going to tip over. I have, let me get
Well,
some,
that's true. That's the advantage of having that base for the triangle to sit on. I mean, that's why roofs are shaped like triangles, for instance.
like this thing is not going to fall over. it's,
Right.
it's just not going to fall over.
Yeah. Yeah. You could
Sound,
knock
it's
it over and
strong.
it still wouldn't knock over.
Yeah. It's not going to tip over. All right. So what else we want to talk about?
I don't know. Unfortunately, Jeffrey had to duck out. He has a panicked client, he says, so he's going to have to go meet with his panicked client. So we can't even look for anybody from the live stream because he was the only one who was commenting on the live stream.
Let's
But
invite people to send in questions, even if they can't be here, right? I mean, you've done
that's
this
true.
before. If they can't be here for the show, but they have a question that maybe a show sparks for them,
Hmm.
they can just email it to you, and
Sure.
so you'll have it. You can ask any one of the hosts, or they can say, "Oh, talk about this with so and so," right?
We love it when that happens too. It's a lot of fun. First of all, because we're hearing from a listener, which is always great. And second of all, because our listeners are pretty, we have sharp listeners. We have listeners who have really been consciously manifesting for some time and know a thing or two about it. So when they raise a topic or a question, it's usually pretty damn good. It's good stuff. So by all means, yeah, if you have a question you want to send in by email, one way to do that is by email. Send it to me at walt@loatoday.net. You can also contact me through Facebook. You can tweet to me. Probably our Facebook page, that's a good way to do it. There's also a contact form on our website. So, yeah, use any of those to send a message in. And if you have something you want us to talk about, we love doing that. That's a lot of fun. In fact, I think it was just this past Monday with Louis D'Souza, we had a live stream listener who is a relatively new one. I'd only seen that person's name once or twice before, and they were giving us this stream of questions that were fairly basic level law of attraction, but oh my God, did it make it fun. Just because this person, it was partly, yes, we get a chance to help them out and kind of have something good to talk about, but it was also a reminder of what it's like when you're trying to learn this stuff for the first time, when you're trying to get a handle on how all this stuff works. It's great to have that reminder. So yeah, by all means, send messages in, and we will answer every one of them. I guarantee that. In terms of topic, let me bring something up that is tied into this project that we're working on, the podcast, the fiction podcast that Alex King and I have been developing, The Grass is Greener. I was mentioning before we started this particular recording, I was mentioning to the live stream audience that that episode is about ready to come out. I do the sound editing on it, and I've completed that. I'm running it by PJ and Alex. They're giving me their final touch recommendations, and we'll probably release it on Tuesday. Um,
Right.
but it's an interesting thing. We launched that July 19th, so it's been 3 months and a week between the first episode and the second episode, which is not exactly ideal. And it's easy to get frustrated about that. I'm not saying that I'm frustrated about it, but we run into situations in life where things don't always work out the way we want them to. So I guess the topic I have in mind is, well, what do you do when things don't work out the way you want them to? How do you respond to it? Because we both know that response is going to make a huge difference. If you respond in a way that is responding well, you're going to get better results out of it. If you respond in a way that isn't so good, you're going to get a lot more opportunities to experience the same thing all over again.
Well, I mean, I kind of have adopted just saying, just really believing and owning that there's a purpose to all things, and so there's
Mm,
really something. Maybe it's divine timing that it didn't come out until now. I was going to suggest that you um, prompt everybody to listen to the first one again, right? So
yeah,
get right back into that groove of that.
right.
Um, so I think that there's a reason for all things. And so if you didn't, maybe you keep bumping your head against it because you didn't really see or grasp or notice what it's trying to tell you,
Mm,
right? So maybe it gets back to also just, yeah, it's just like letting go and saying, all right, there's got to be a purpose for this. I'm going to stop trying to push it, or not trying, because I hate that word. I have to stop pushing at this and just
mm,
let it take its course.
mm-hmm.
Because sometimes really we can extend it by trying to control it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And there were plenty, I mean, there were definite circumstances involved that created that 3 month gap between, not the least of which was the death of my mother, PJ's mother, because she passed about 12 days, no, 8 days after we released that first episode. And of course, when you have a close loved one who passes, that creates, first of all, you have to deal with the loss of the loved one, but it has all kinds of stuff that goes along with it, dealing with the estate, dealing with,
Right.
possessions, what happens to the house. I mean, there's like this long stream of things. So, I mean, that played more of a role than anything. And
Did you find
it,
that anything changed about the second episode during that time from the original way it was supposed to be?
I don't know if the second episode changed so much. It changed in one way compared to the first. In the first episode, Alex and I wrote that one together. The second one, she wrote by herself. But that was kind of going to happen anyway, I think. It just, it, I guess the gap kind of made it happen because I was dealing with so many other things. I couldn't have spent time writing it anyway. So I was glad to have Alex doing that task. And she did a great job as usual. But did it actually change the episode? I don't know that it changed it. I think probably if there's any particular result regarding the episode itself that I can point to, is that it gave us time to kind of absorb the characters more. Each of the actors had time to kind of think about the character and figure out, okay, are there any tweaks I want to make to how I'm playing my character? And Alex and I, of course, are producers as well, and PJ is the director, so we're talking about it and thinking about it in terms of, well, how do we want the story to go from now on? We had previously talked about this is the path we want to go on. Did we change that path? Not so much, but it gave us time to kind of reflect on, do we like this path that it's on? And we kind of came to the conclusion, yeah, actually we do. But we had time to do that, is the point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there were some benefits to it,
You know what? After
taking as long.
one, you'll probably know even better why.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. Um,
I like to believe in divine timing. There's what if there was what if everything's perfect exactly as it is? Like that's what
yeah,
I don't have an answer. I'm like, well, what if this is exactly how it's supposed to be? And that kind of softens the energy so that you don't start putting that pushing energy into it, and it can just be the creative flow that it's meant to be.
Well, for myself, I can point to an example of that because this same time period, not only were PJ and I dealing with the loss of our mother, but this is a big time period for Louise and I with the gardening service, which is now starting to come to a close because we're nearing the end of the season. And it was a time where Louise needed to be taking more time away from it, which means I had to put more time into it in order to cover the gap, so to speak. So yeah, I mean, being away from the play for that period of time was probably the right thing to do from that perspective, just because I couldn't have put all the time in that I put in if I hadn't done that.
Right.
So yeah, it definitely played a role from that perspective. Oh, and well, on top of that, things have happened that made it possible for me to be able to finance promoting it more.
Oh,
Just,
here you go.
just in the last week alone, I don't know if I think I started to tell part of the story last Friday. I can't remember. Did I start telling some of
Yeah, you had
Yeah,
surprise money.
yeah. Well, the surprise money actually turned into more surprise money
Oh, nice.
since then. Yeah,
Isn't that how it should work, right?
absolutely. It was great. It kind of surprised me too. But I mean, some of that money is going to make it possible for me to do the promoting that I was going to start to do this summer. But my mom's passing kind of threw that out of whack anyway. And it's probably better that I waited until we could get the second episode out because, well, first of all, you don't want to promote something and then not actually deliver the next part of it. That would not do very well.
Right.
So now we got the second part to deliver. And it also gave me time to get the money together so I can really put a good promotion together. So it's timing out nicely.
But when is it? When is the next one?
It's going to come out, I believe, on Tuesday is what Alex and I are talking about. And it will be, well, first of all, anyone who's already subscribed to the podcast subscription link, kind of like the link for LOA today, you're going to get it automatically. But if you don't have that, probably the thing to do is just tune into the Tuesday show because we'll give you a lot of details on where you can go listen to it. You'll be able to listen to it on YouTube through the YouTube channel for The Grass is Greener. There's, of course, the podcast link on The Grass is Greener itself. And I actually have to do a little research because I submitted it to all the major podcast platforms that are out there. But I don't know which ones it's on yet because I haven't had time to look. So I'll go look at that and find out where they are and let people know, oh, yeah, well, it's also on. I know it's on iTunes. I'm pretty sure it's in Google Podcasts. I'm not sure which other ones it's in right now. So I have to go look them up.
So will you be streaming to that YouTube channel?
Oh, well, yeah, I'll be posting it on our YouTube channel for The Grass is Greener. But we're not doing it as a live show, so it's not something that's actually streaming. It's something that we'll just upload
Okay.
as a file.
So
Yeah.
anyone who then subscribes to the grass is greener and hits the bell will know when it's coming.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If you want to find it that way, that's definitely an easy way to do it. Just go to YouTube and do a search for The Grass is Greener and
Yeah.
subscribe and hit the bell. So, yeah, absolutely. Good way to do it. Yeah. So, yeah, it's going to be fun it's not like the world premiere that we did the first time around, but it's going to be fun to do the release again and see what kind of response we can get. And this time I'm going to be able to do the promo. I want to do the paid promotion to really get it into a lot of people's hands, really get it into who we feel are likely our target audience, and see what kind of response we're going to get out of it. Because I just have I've had all along this strong feeling that if we can get it into that right audience's hand, I think it'll just kind of take on a life of its own.
Yeah, cool.
And so that's going to be fun too, just to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, tune in to the show on Tuesday, and Alex and I will give you more details about it. But so there's one thing that kind of ties into what we're talking about. Oh, as I was taking my walk today, we talked earlier about how the weather's been really nice. It's been fairly warm and so forth. It was a little bit gray, but an interesting thing happened during my walk. I usually try to put out something to make the weather, better for that particular time that I'm out there. And sure enough, the sky started to clear. And as it cleared, you know how sun on the colored leaves this time of year will make the leaves pop more?
Yeah.
I was getting great views where the sun would like come through the clouds and just hit one particular place, and that one particular place was a glade of trees that had all turned and were like oranges and yellows and reds and so forth. And so that scene was like a postcard that would pop up. And then I'd walk another 5 minutes, and there'd be another scene that just popped up. It was like the sunlight was acting like spotlights. Look at this piece of nature. Look at this piece of nature. Look at this piece of nature. And I was thinking, how cool is this? I'm getting an actual show just by walking along like that.
That's very cool.
It is. It's really great, and it's like it was created for me.
You take any photos?
I didn't know. I'm not a good photo taker. I always think about it after the fact. I rarely think about it during. But yeah, I should do that. I'll try to remember to do that going forward. But no, mainly I'm just in the mode of enjoying it when it happens and just drinking it in and then talking about it on the podcast later on.
Because it's great. I mean, even on a gray day, like right now, it's a pretty gray, but just going out and actually stopping to look at how magnificent all of that is, and just take you out of that, that mental place that you might be at, and it's more like joining with the spirit, right? Because you're looking at the sky or whatever it might be, or especially when the sun starts going down, you see those different hues. It's magical. Like that energy is magical.
Yes. Yes,
and it really does. Like I imagine that when you saw the light spotlight on some colors of leaves, it probably really just, you probably felt that vibration go through your whole body.
Oh, yes.
Of like, wow, this is
hugely
so cool.
Yeah. And the way I was looking at it is I was experiencing it kind of from the viewpoint of I've been working on myself for quite some time now to open, to be less resistant, more receptive, all that kind of stuff, and feeling as good as I can every time that I'm going out there, and it's working. I've been talking about this quite a bit this week. I'm walking down the path because we have a Rails to Trails path that goes through our neighborhood, and somebody will pass me and they give me a big grin and a hello and so forth, and I'm not even paying attention. I'm like, oh well, yeah, hi, how you doing? And I'm thinking I must be emanating something that's making them open up to me that way. Because that was never true in the past. That's something that has evolved over time, and now people are just responding to me. And so I feel like the nature is responding to me, and the people are responding to me, and the walk itself, I feel like I'm getting all these responses back based on what I've been putting out for so long.
And you think that you might have started it by responding to it first?
Oh, no doubt.
Admiring it,
Yeah.
being in that
appreciative spot, that stance of appreciation is huge. Yeah. I talked about the money manifestations that started last week and have continued this week. I don't remember if I mentioned last Friday about this, but I've been doing what Cindy Chavez and I call imaginals. Basically, the Neville Goddard approach of doing some imagining as you're going to sleep, where you put yourself into the scene of whatever it is you're trying to manifest, and feel the scene and imagine it and play it out in your mind, in a very simplified way. And then you do that every night,
Right.
because Neville has lots of stories about how people would do that and get almost exactly what they were looking to manifest in their lives, including some really amazing things. So I figured, okay, I'll start doing that. And sure enough, within about a week of doing that, I'm starting to get all these results. So I'm getting this money manifestation going on. I'm getting all these results when I'm doing my nature walk. We went out, and Louise and I went out, and we were still looking for the house of our dreams, so to speak. And we haven't found it yet. We found one that looked like it might be a good one. Turned out it wasn't a good one. Oh, and there's a lesson in that one too. We went to this house that we thought was going to be really good. The photos really looked good online and so forth. We learned after the fact they were pretty much photoshopped. So what they were actually showing was not the way the house really was when you got inside. And we could have gone in there and gotten really upset. We could have. We could have gone, well, geez, this isn't what it was supposed to be like. The photos look so much better. What are they doing? They're trying to pull the wool over our eyes. Oh, we could have gone down that road, you know? But we didn't. I mean, I remember my reaction was, okay, well, here's one more house that's not the one for us.
Right.
Gotta go on to the next one. Not worry about this one.
You know,
That's huge.
I want to make a point with what you're saying going before going to sleep and doing that imagination, because that's when you're dropping into it. You're going into a theta brainwave, which is very hypnotic brainwave. I mean, that's the brainwave that kids are in until the age of 7. Like they're like very still in that imagination place, and you're in a very hypnotic, receptive mind state where what you can really start to feel as real those things that you want to manifest. So that's why it's easier for them to come to you. And I notice the difference when I don't do that to when I do that.
What do you
I
mean?
haven't been doing that for a little while, and then I'm like, I don't even know how I stopped doing it.
Oh,
Right? But somehow I got out of it. I don't know, maybe I was, who knows, too tired or whatever for some reason. And so now I got back into that groove of being in that space, whether I'm listening to some kind of, hypnotherapy kind of a thing, as you're falling asleep, because you're in that brainwave where you're gonna take it all and it's all gonna sink in. So that's how you can rewrite your beliefs really on your own, is by just programming new ones.
It does.
Over the top of those old ones, creating a whole new belief system. So yeah, that works. I mean, you're just proving that works.
It not only works, it was kind of surprising how fast stuff happened. Stuff happened pretty quickly, and it wasn't always directly related to what I was putting out there with the imaginals themselves. But I can tell now, if you just kind of go with it. This is the one thing that always seems to be missing from a lot of manifestation stories, even in the Neville stories. The Neville stories, they'll talk about how, like one of the ones that Cindy and I read recently had a really great affirmation in it that the person used. The affirmation was, "Isn't it wonderful? Something marvelous is happening for me now." And she used that in place of trying to imagine particular things, because the list of things that she needed was so long that she felt overwhelmed by it. And it felt that way. I mean, this is a woman who was single, I believe it was the 1930s, midst of the Great Depression, didn't have a job, didn't have a good place to live that she could rely upon. I mean, everything was just falling apart for her. And then she had heard Neville give one of his talks, and she said, well, okay, I got nothing to lose. I might as well try. But the thought of having to go through and ask for every single thing that she needed just seemed overwhelming. So she came up with this phrase instead. And every night she did this. And after some period of time, 2 or 3 months, something like that, she got a call from an old friend that she hadn't talked to in years. And in the conversation with this friend mentioned another friend, I think from high school, that she had been in contact with for years and barely even knew. And within like a week or two after that, her friend that she talked to went off to the big city. And during that same time frame, the other person reached out to her by mail and said, I've gotten really successful in my life. I was thinking of you. Here's a check for $7,000. We did the calculation. That's the equivalent of like $70,000 today. Wow. $7,000. And from that point on, she started getting checks every single month for the rest of her life.
Wow.
Now
She said, "Isn't it wonderful that something magical is happening for me now?"
Something marvelous is happening for me now. Yeah.
Something what?
Marvelous.
Something marvelous is
Marvelous.
happening.
Yeah.
Ah,
Just working off of that. Now that's a very typical Neville story. It has a very definite beginning. It has a period of doing the imaginals, and then it has a result at the end that's almost exactly what the original thing was all about. The thing that I've always wondered about, that I find to be missing in some of those stories, and I'm not criticizing the stories, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I wish there was the other part that I was hearing is what was happening during that time while she was doing it every single night. Because the way we often read those stories, we say to ourselves, well, nothing was happening. She was just going on blind faith. She was just repeating it over and over again. But now I'm of the mindset that says, I'll bet you stuff was happening, but because it wasn't directly connected to what she was asking for, she didn't relate it as part of the story.
right.
Because I'm finding the more that I do these kinds of imaginals, all kinds of stuff starts popping up, just not directly what I was asking for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you think that's true also?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're
Yeah.
just in a vibe of something marvelous happening for
Right,
you.
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's almost like you're stirring up the universe, you know?
I'm totally going to work with that one. I might even make myself a hypnotic track to listen to at night.
It's a good one, yeah. And both Cindy and I I put that one directly into use. I actually started to evolve to doing, I have like this whole list of my asks. Now I go through my asks and I imagine each one of those because I don't feel overwhelmed by going through the list. But I started by doing that one phrase for a week, and then Cindy, she kind of forgot about it, but then she came in and started doing it the next week, and both of us started manifesting stuff out of it. So it's a good phrase because it's nice and general, but it also gets you into that place of, wow, something marvelous is happening for me right now, and kind of in parentheses, even though I don't know what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, so cool stuff.
I'm definitely going to record that with some brain entrainment music. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I like that.
Then you just listen to it, and it's just reprogramming the subconscious mind. There, you're just taking it all in.
And it's powerful. It's a powerful message, no doubt. So. Well, thank you for sharing the cards and so forth. Actually, I think we're a little bit short on, or we're not at a full hour because we started a little bit late, but that's okay. I have one question for you. Can you tell people more about Linda Armstrong, the coach? Because, like we said at the beginning, it is useful to have an expert to talk to, somebody to help you deal with whatever it is you're dealing with. You're good at that. So how do they reach out if they need to get that kind of help from you?
You can email me, linda@lovemylife.coach. You can go to my website. You can book sessions right there from the website. You can find out all about me there. You can find out about me on my YouTube channel, see the different things that I share. But yeah, it's really important, to ask if you're stuck in something and you can't find your own solution and you think you have to do it all, because that's the problem. We all think we have to figure it out for ourselves. It's so much quicker and easier to just get help from someone who can actually tap in to what's going on for you and clear the energy around it. Doesn't mean that things change overnight, but they'll change a whole lot faster and sometimes quite quickly if you just get that help and get those programs cleared that just do not support you.
And in fact, when you were saying that, it was reminding me, the approach you take is significantly different from what many coaches do. And in fact, when you first came on the show last year, there was one show we did shortly thereafter that you basically showed me what you do. You walked through the process with me, did some of the energy work and so forth. And I was sitting there thinking, this is crazily different from everything else that's out there.
That's about what I do is I teach a lot, so I'm coaching and teaching, but I'm clearing energy. I'm helping you to let go of these things that you've been carrying around that they're just weighing you down, basically. So,
I didn't even know what they were. I mean, you were telling me there were these things that were weighing me down. I said, really?
I always say that I help people to bring more light to their life, and that's basically it, because we want to bring in light, bring in that energy that does inspire and lift us up. And people actually leave feeling lighter. They didn't lose physical pounds, but they gained a lot of light, which really does make you feel, it's like after having that big exam in high school,
All right.
over with, like breathing and you feel so much lighter. So yeah.
And that was my experience. I mean, every time that we did a few of those. We did one where you did like a guided meditation. Well, actually, we did a whole series of guided meditations last winter. But early on, we also did kind of a meditative thing. And each time we did one of those things, when we were done, I felt like I was in a different energy space. I couldn't even describe. I think I did try to describe it because I'm doing a podcast, so I had to describe it as best I could. But I really couldn't describe it. It was such a different space,
Yeah.
a different feeling, a different experience. So I just wanted to emphasize that for listeners. If you
Earlier, I
with
was
Linda, it's different.
well, earlier I was almost going to do some clearing, and I thought then somehow it just didn't happen. So I figured, okay, it's not meant to be.
Yeah,
But
that's all
maybe
right.
show we'll do some of that stuff.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Just
I'd be glad to
again,
do that again.
clearing, because without knowing anybody's story, you can't really dig down for it. But we can do some general clearing. Yeah.
Sure, I'm sure people will love that. So let's set a time to do that. It's a particular date. We'll do a little extra promo.